Welcome to Big Blend Radio's virtual cafe. Pull up a seat and let's find out who we're having a happy hour conversation with today. Everybody, it is time to bootleg, rum run, and shine. That's what Big Blend Radio's happy hour is about. And we are starting off in Peachtree City in Georgia. Nancy and I are here, Big Blend Radio, Nancy and Lisa. And we have a real run to do, Nancy, to get to our happy hour spot. The happy hour spot will be disclosed later, but you and I have a real run to do. It is Bootlegger Day, and are you ready, Nancy?
I got my boots on.
Well, you're going to tell us before we get in the vehicle we're going to go pick up some, spirits. We've got, prohibition, all that stuff happened. We're like, What is the difference between a bootlegger, a rum runner, a shiner?
Okay. The rum runner takes the rum from the Bahamas and delivers it to cities throughout the USA and Canada. Okay? The shiners take the rum and make it into something more palatable. Like real rum is clear. Rum you buy off the shelf is golden, bit colored.
So they put the lime in the coconut.
They tempered it down. Because if you take a real shot of real rum right off the rum truck, so to speak, you're going to burn your throat. So they had to temper it down, like they do with most alcohol. So real rum is clear. Rum you buy off the shelf is golden. Okay?
But the shiners, weren't they making moonshine, which was more bourbon whiskey?
The moonshiners made anything they could out of anything they could and sold it under different names. That's what's like in the light of the moon, stuff happened. They took the stuff, they made it, and they sold it. So you had the dude who made it, the dude who got the supplies, the dude who made it. And I say dude because they were all men, pretty much.
At that time. And I know there's women shiners all the way up to Oregon.
Yeah, eventually. But the people who sold it, okay? And they named it all sorts of different things. And like now, when you go and buy a bottle of anything in the supermarket, there's the whole label list of who did what and all that. There was none of that back then. So you could drink something and die the next day. Yeah, because the rum runners didn't care. Their job was go get the stuff, deliver it, get paid.
So they're the traffickers of today.
Yeah,
like what
the traffickers. And then you had the people who took the stuff from the traffickers who made it into something they could sell. Because what I learned was because they were stationary and people couldn't come back at them. But if the dude in the boat getting the stuff from A to B, they're not going to track you. They're not going to find you. But if you're a guy on the ground who actually made it into the final product, you're trackable.
That's where the bootlegger comes in.
That's right. And the term bootleggers comes from, it's going to the guy who made the moonshine. Okay. And because it was illegal, sticking the bottles of booze down their boots and walking away with it. That's why they were called bootleggers, because they put booze in their boots.
But then the cars came out, right? And that was all these famous people, like even Bonnie and Clyde and stuff, going through.
That was
North
later.
Carolina,
that was
Arkansas.
Like when the mafia took over.
Okay, and that ended up where NASCAR, the roots of NASCAR came from bootleggers. So today is National Bootlegger Day. So we are going to do a run And we've got some special guests that we're going to meet on this run. And we're going to get into happy hour where everyone can discuss what Nancy just said to see if she's right or wrong. Who knows? Because we've got some good history people on this show. They all know writers, authors. Um, oh, we're going to go on a run. So it is
Oh.
stealth. It's quiet. And as Nancy and I are sitting here in Peachtree City, Georgia, we are
Mhm.
packing up our golf cart that is not ours, but we're stealing it from downstairs. And we were told
Okay.
not to take the golf cart out. But the first time we were here, they said take it out. The second time they said don't. I don't know why. But anyway,
I
we
do.
are taking the golf cart out. Peachtree City is a golf cart community. And you could go to the high school and you will see instead of kids having cars,
Oh
like,
God,
they have
it's
golf
so
carts,
weird.
golf cart parking. You go to the grocery store, watch out for the golf carters. This is a for real golf cart community, and it's a very safe, sweet, beautiful home. Like, oh, if you want to feel part of a neighborhood, come here. Great place to raise kids. Beautiful with lakes, sunsets, Canadian geese, wild turkeys, and deer. So we're getting into the golf cart. We are packing in some Peach Tree City moonshine, which I think Nancy, we just grabbed what was downstairs, and I think in
You could
those jars
probably
they had peaches
you could make
and shine.
moonshine out of peaches.
I don't know what's in the jars,
Absolutely.
but apparently that's that. But we're packing him into the golf cart, and Nancy and I are off and running down the suburban streets of Peachtree City, and we're going to go all the way to Middleburg, Florida, to pick up our dear friend Kathleen Walls, who is a travel writer and photographer and author of fiction and nonfiction. And apparently, she's got a load and a bunch of places we need to go to pick up more because our happy hour, man, I'm telling you, y'all, it's going to be bad. We're going to be having the biggest tasting party on the planet.
Mm,
So you ready, Nancy?
yeah, I'm
Neat,
always
neat,
ready.
neat, neat. Here we go. Chugga lugga, chugga 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 chugga. Priscilla, the pink sock monkey, is driving as always. Chugga 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 chugga. Neat, neat. We're here in Middleburg, Florida. Katie, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine, and I got some good booze to go pick up.
Well, first we need to know that it's really you. What's your password?
Oh, Thunder Road.
Thunder Road.
Ooh.
I
Mm,
like
Thunder,
that.
thunder, thunder over Thunder
I
Road.
think though,
mm.
I know where we're going towards our destination of happy hour, which is, we can't let everybody know because it's, stealth and we're
It's a
quiet.
secret.
It's a
That's a great
secret.
name though for a
But I
drink, Thunder
know
Rose.
we have actual like we came with ours, but we have we have some pickups to do with you. So we can't do the golf cart anymore, and the golf cart's like done. Um,
Well, it just happens I've got this antique Ford, 53 Ford convertible, and you know what? The top doesn't work, but we can squeeze all kinds of bottles underneath that back cover. And if the cops stop us, I'll show them it doesn't work, it won't come up. So when we
ooh,
get ready, we can pull it up, but we won't tell the law that, will we?
we're not going to get caught because number one, a
No.
pink sock monkey is driving.
I
So
mean,
who would
who
pull
who would
over a pink
and
sock
who would
monkey?
pull over an antique car?
Yeah, really.
Mm.
I know,
I
right? That's the best
love
thing. It's
antique
really true,
cars.
right? Isn't that true? You see an antique car and you look at it on the side of the
I
road and you're
love
like,
them.
look at that. That's beautiful. And who would pull over an antique? Oh, you are so good. No wonder you write fiction and mystery and, ghost stuff. And all right.
I
So
have to
where's our,
say, I want her to know that I worked on vintage cars in a car lot for 2, 3 years,
well,
banging
good,
out
because you may
dents
have to
and
replace a
restoring them.
tire. Well, good. We've got Nancy as a mechanic. So,
Yeah,
Well, if we
uh,
break down, we won't have any problems then.
yeah,
that's right.
exactly. So, Katie, where are we going first for the first pickup?
Well, we're going to slip through St. Augustine and head right over across from that haunted fort that they have on the water there. And there's a bed
Ooh,
and breakfast called the Casablanca Inn. A couple of
Hmm.
years back, a few years back, like 1914, this Irish couple bought it and they really liked the creature quite a lot. But then he died. And the widow, she had this home and no money. So she decided she'd open a bed and breakfast. And she opens it up and starts having a lot of rum parties. And then the Volstead Act hits them. So
Mm.
she makes friends with, in fact, becomes level with this rum runner. And he's bringing the
Mm.
booze right in there off the bay because they're right on the water. Just across the street and grab your booze. But the FBI sort of begins to wonder what's going on down there. And they send some agents. Well, she welcomes him, has him stay in her bed and breakfast. And when the agents are there, she has a widow's walk on top and she keeps it dark. So her lover knows not to bring the booze in. But when the FBI and the agents are running around somewhere else, she puts a lantern up there. So that's where we're going to get our booze from because the FBI is roaming around. The G-men are out of town now. So she's got plenty of rum. So let's get in there and get some rum from her.
Okay, good. I love that because I know Nancy, though, we have to watch Nancy because Nancy's a rum runner
Well,
herself.
we won't put
The
her
rum
close to
runs
the
down
rum.
her throat. And,
We,
she
we
loves
won't
her
let her get
rums.
the rum until we get to our happy hour.
Now, we might actually have to tie her up in the back seat.
Right.
If
And
that,
then,
We got the rum.
yeah, and the back seat's closer to that rum, so that's bad.
that's
Oh,
good.
Yeah.
oh,
Well, then
I don't
when
know. We may have to put
we
her in the
leave
trunk.
there, we're going to have to head up I-95, and there's a place up there called Dalton Distillery, and the gentleman that
Hmm.
started that, the master distiller, he had been a bootlegger and a moonshiner. It runs in his family. It's a family tradition, sort of, and he was doing it
Oh,
since he was 6 years old. So we're going to go up there,
wow.
and he makes the only sunflower moonshine in the country. So we're going to pick up some sunshine moonshine there.
Okay, so
Mm.
wait. Okay, everyone, we're in, we're going. Okay,
Right. Well, let's
we're
drive. You
in the car,
driving.
we're in the car. Priscilla's off and running. We're going now. We got rum in the car. Her hands are strapped because she needs to, but
Oh,
unfortunately her
thank
mouth
you.
is not. But off we go. But now where we're going, I want to make sure because when we get to happy hour, the goods need to
Mm.
be you said sunflowers.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Come on now. Like we can't get to happy hour where we're going because they expect good stuff. We can't go there with sunflower stuff and
Yeah, we
Sunflower
can.
they kick us
moonshine, I'll
out.
tell
We
you.
can't get kicked out. Well, this is
S-
where we're going to sleep, man. I'm telling
Oh,
you.
that stuff is good. I have tasted it and I'll vouch for it.
Sunflower moonshine sounds really good.
It
Well,
is.
okay. Give Nancy some. Maybe it'll make her sleep.
Right. We'll put her to sleep and she'll leave the rum alone then.
Not, not.
All right. So we got that. So where are we going next? Because I know you got another
Okay.
pickup.
Right. After we get that, let's head up into the
Man,
mountains
you
and we're
have
going to
been
get in
score.
real
By the
moonshine
way,
country.
I
Uh-huh.
want to give Katie like huge props because our happy hour is like, half of it is from Katie's work of all of these connections and pickup joints, and they always think women don't do crime. Well, y'all, I'm just saying, women know how to organize, right? So
That's
anyway, where are
right.
we going next so we can get up because we got to go to get to Joe up there in South Carolina.
Right. Well, we got to go up through the mountains. We're running through that little town of Blairsville. And that's a real moonshiner's heaven because the guy that's there used to sing with Waylon Jennings. And his
Oh,
grandfather was a moonshiner. And I've heard him sing and I've drank his whiskey. And both of them are really good.
White
So let's
Lightning.
get up there and we'll load up some of his whiskey.
Oh, speaking of that, everybody,
It's
as
called
they're
Grandpa.
loading up, Priscilla's glad that everyone's loading up. She doesn't want to have to do any, physical labor. She's driving. We've got Nancy. Nancy seems to be enjoying the sunflower shine. Um, and
Rye
so no,
whiskey,
it's
don't
not
let me
sunflower
die.
whiskey, Nancy. Um, but as we go up, I want people to know we got a music playlist of shiny, happy people songs. Not REM specifically, but we got, we had to have White Lightning. We've been
White
listening to,
Lightning. I like
yeah,
that one. We got old George singing it for us.
George, and then like, come on, we got Waylon
We
too.
better
Waylon
keep
Jennings
we
did
better
it.
keep George away from the whiskey though.
Yeah, but Waylon did a better
Well,
version
That's
than
not fair.
Waylon can do it.
Waylon. I'm sorry, but Waylon was more of a badass than George on this
Yeah.
song. He
Oh
was like,
yes,
come on now,
yes.
come on,
Well, Tommy
like,
Townsend with the distillery up there. Tommy Townsend sings all the Waylon songs. So if you're ever in Blairsville, go to Granddaddy Mim's distillery right
When
downtown,
you
right off
hear
the
a
circle.
granddaddy's involved, you know someone has been shining for a long time.
Right,
So
his granddaddy was doing it.
well, are you ready to go to South Carolina? Because we're going to go to the beach. We're
Oh,
going to get out of
yes.
those mountains. It's cold, y'all. It's
Yeah.
winter. It's bootlegging time. But the bootleggers are going through all this winter cold and. So, that's why Nancy wants that rum and that shine and everything. So we're going to go to
Mm-hmm.
Surfside. We're going to go to South Carolina. So, hey, what you up to, Joe? How are you?
I'm
Joe Clark,
good.
travel writer.
Thought y'all
Um,
would never get here.
well, it would be Katie was doing a lot of
I
pickups
took
for
a
us.
long route.
I know
Drove
she
'em
took the
through,
long
took
way
'em-
to the
took
beach.
'em through Blood Mountain.
Well, Joe, come on. Don't you think getting all this so we can have a good happy hour is pretty good? I
Yeah,
mean,
she's
you
she's
know,
got a good supply with her.
yeah. I
Right.
mean, and we don't like prohibition, do we? We
No.
Nope.
don't. But
Well,
prohibition was created for us women to stop men beating us when they were drunk. But at the same time, if they're beating us, I want
That's
to
a
drink.
shortcut.
I mean, but that was kind of it.
But
I don't
that's what
know.
they
Yeah.
make divorce courts for.
That's why
Oh,
Judge Judy exists.
there's a couple hundred years difference between now and then.
Mm.
Yep.
yeah, a few hundred.
But listen, Joe, it
Uh-huh.
seems a little warmer on the beach in
Yeah.
South
Divorce
Carolina.
court in the
So,
1800s.
what are we going to have to abandon the car? Do we have a pickup with you? What's going on? Do we
Well,
need to
I've
change?
I've been to the mountains of Virginia. I've already been to the moonshine capital of the world and picked up product from my favorite moonshiner,
I
Twin.
just wait. I want to make sure it's
Okay.
you. I get
uh, Rocky Mount.
that's your
Rocky Mountain
password.
High.
Okay. Okay. It's her. It's her, y'all. We can keep talking to her. Okay. So keep going about your pickups.
Yep. I've already been and got a good supply of moonshine from Twin Creek Distillery up in Rocky Mount, Virginia, which is in Franklin County. And everybody knows Franklin County is the moonshine capital of the world.
I did not know, but
We
Oh,
do
apparently.
I've got the shirt.
Okay.
I can prove it.
now.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
we've got plain sugar shine. We got some fruit brandy. They make peach and apple brandy. And they make sweet mash out of rye. They make straight whiskey and they make corn whiskey.
What about rye whiskey?
Mm.
Yeah, they make the straight mash is rye. There's a sweet mash made out of rye.
I
There you
want
go.
that.
Rye
All right.
whiskey. Rye
You
whiskey
got
mash.
okay, but we got all of Katie. We got our little bit of peach tree city, joy juice, which is peaches from Georgia, distilled and happy and shiny. And by the way, shiny happy people comes from Georgia. Sorry, Atlanta. Thank you to the band REM in the future that we don't know about yet.
Okay.
But we're shiny happy people where we are right now. Um, how are we going to transport this entire huge harvest load, like this bounty? And it's really Katie's fault because she went
I'm
overboard. She's
bad.
an overachiever in the world of legging it. Are we
Well,
going to have to run it or leg it? What are we going to do with Katie's stash? Because
she
honestly, I
got it.
personally think she's good. She's a badass, and I'm glad she's on our team.
Yeah, but she got it all into the space where a convertible top belonged. So she can't have but so much. And we're going to put that together with mine and we're going to put it in a boat, a speedboat, so that we can go slipping up the intercoastal waterway and not call attention to ourselves. I
Nancy,
think,
would that be rum running? Are we rum running now? Is that what?
now
Are
we
we
hadn't
doing
picked
that?
up any rum, so I think we're
Well,
not.
no. Katie's got
We
rum.
got some
Katie's
rum
got.
from St.
Oh, you got
Augustine.
some rum.
Yeah, we
Oh,
got
Yeah,
that's
rum.
right. We got rum from St.
she's
Augustine.
got haunted rum. Nancy, that's rum running now, right? when we get
That's
in the
rum
water?
running. If you're
Okay,
on the
well, Nancy,
water, if you're on the
you know,
water and you have rum or the ingredients for rum, you're a rum runner.
okay, can we all let Nancy have some rum since we're gonna rum run
I
and she
guess we
really loves it?
can.
I
Let's
guess
give her
We
a little
have to.
glass.
It's my favorite drink.
She's my mother. She needs it. Come on. Yeah, we got to let her have some, but not
you've
all.
driven her
Would
to
you
drink.
don't let Priscilla
I
have
have
any if
driven.
she's driving though.
Jo- Joe, you're really right. I have driven her to drink, but she's not driving. We've got
Yes,
it. We have
exactly.
Right, we're on a
Priscilla.
boat now. That's right. She
Well,
can
that's
have
That's
all
right.
the rum
getting
she
on the boat.
wants.
We're
Right.
getting on the
We can
boat, and
kick back
Priscilla.
on the boat and
Okay, ladies.
enjoy the sunshine while we go north.
Well, Priscilla's back at the wheel, captain's wheel, and yes, she's a girl. She's a pink sock monkey, and she can get us to Maine because I believe our next destination is Brunswick, Maine. I don't know. This is going to take some time, so I'm glad we have some supplies. Did anybody bring some crackers and cheese? Because
Oh, we're
yeah,
gonna
we
have
need
to
some
stop
food.
and load up for that. Yeah.
I think we may have
Leave
to.
here with plenty of food because it's about a 3 week, 4 week trip up the intercoastal
Hell,
You
waterway.
better get some
well,
food to go with
listen.
that drink.
But it
I
is a
listen.
speedboat, so and with the sock monkey driving, that's gonna cut down a lot of the time.
That means we get coconuts, we get some
Mhm.
bananas and things like that, and it will.
Get
We
the
got cake,
lime in the coconut
and
and
we
drink it all
always
up.
get cake. Oh, we're there. We're in Brunswick. I don't know if I don't know, but we're looking for Matt, and we've got to hear the password to see if Matt is around. So if a guy comes up to the
He's
boat
very
and
patient.
he gives the right password, we will know it's him. So as soon as we hear that password, we'll know that Matt, our contact, the
Mhm.
author Matt, Matt, the king of happy hour. That's who we're trying to pick up. We're trying to find him. So hopefully he's there. Is he around?
I'm going to go with askew as my password.
Wait,
And
That's Matt.
I love
Yes,
it.
that's
and I
Matt.
have decided to drive down from Brunswick to meet you in New York City.
Is that where we are? Because we don't know where the hell we are.
We're,
That's
we're
good.
gonna I've decided to, meet you in New York City at a place called the Back Room in
Oh,
Lower
Oh,
Manhattan, which is
cool.
a speakeasy in Lower Manhattan.
Mm.
And at this speakeasy, you go into this place and it has, the chandeliers and the bands singing, jazz music playing. But if you move out of the main room and go into the back room through a bookcase,
Oh,
you will find some of the greatest rum runners, bootleggers of history. Meyer Lansky, Bugsy
ah,
Siegel,
yeah.
wow.
See,
and
now we're getting
Charlie
to it.
Lucky Luciano.
Yeah,
Oh, he's the
exactly.
man. Lucky Luciano is the man.
Mm.
And
Oh,
this is how they got their start.
Mm.
And, they're bringing booze all up and down the East Coast and from
Yeah.
Cuba.
Mm.
And so
that
Cuba
means
is going
rum.
to become a connection for Meyer Lansky. And
Mm.
so we're going to be in the back room in Lower Manhattan, tipping up a drink in a teacup, which is what we drank at the time, our
Oh,
illegal drinks in. And
Mm.
you mean
we're
that
going
what our podcasts look like when we're on video?
to, yeah.
Don't
And
tell everything you
Uh,
know.
we're going to be talking to some of the earliest bootleggers of the time who are going to make a life out of this, along
Mm.
with, illicit drugs and this and that.
oh,
But
fun.
Mhm.
we'll talk with Meyer Lansky, Bugsy Siegel, and Charlie Lucky Luciano,
I love
and
it.
get the basis for, the modern day mafia. And we're
Oh,
going to, make a
we
deal with
need
them.
their help. We need their help because we have to go
Yeah.
to our happy hour spot, which is all the way past Hot Springs. We have to get to Hot Springs first. Hot Springs in Arkansas is I know the mob knows Hot Springs, right? So we
Oh,
need to get
yeah.
there. That's where we can offload all of this. So who do you think, Matt, in that room can help us offload? Like, we have to get it off the boat, right? And get it into some kind of vehicle and get it to Hot Springs.
Meyer Lansky is
Mm.
this fascinating person who
Mhm.
was not quite 5 feet tall, and he's
Yeah.
Jewish and becomes involved with the Italian mob and becomes a significant player. And he is going to be our connection to be able to make the next move that you need.
Okay.
Isn't
So
isn't
we
that
need him.
weird? No, I'm just having to say because the history of Jewish people and Italians isn't that great. So it's an interesting thing that happened.
Listen, we all want our happy hour, no matter what. I don't care who, what, and where. We want our happy hour. So let's just get it going. So, Matt, make it happen. What car are we getting in so we can get to our, like, listen, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us getting in the car. Let's go so we can get to Hot Springs. And I know when we get to Hot Springs, they say that, hey, there's even a brewery making beer out of the spring water. There are hot baths that we can take that will purify us from all the wiggy that we consume, the cocktails and everything, and those
Unfortunately,
baseball.
it's going to be crowded, but we're going to get into a Jeep.
What?
We're going
Cool.
to get into a Jeep. There will be
Because
5
you
of
have to
us in the
off-road.
Jeep, and in the back of the Jeep will be all of the booze that we need to transport.
Nancy, I thought everything had to be underneath.
No.
I'm confused
See,
about this.
no, but a Jeep is good because if you have to off-road
Oh,
because of
because we
legal
got mud.
pursuit, you didn't know if you have to off-road because of legal pursuit, there you go, you need a Jeep.
Do we have four-wheel drive at this point, or are we just freewheeling?
Not so much, but coming out of World War One, Jeeps were very popular and became more so for off-roading, even if they didn't have four-wheel drive.
Wow.
See, rugged.
Well, Jeeps were all over Africa, man. When I grew up, like they were everything, but that was more Toyota. But I don't think they had Toyotas then. So okay, let's get in the Jeep. Everybody, girls, listen, you got a
I'm
sweater,
good.
put it around your butt ski because we don't like the butt ski to be like, cold. No, wrap your sweater
Okay.
around your butt ski. Be comfy. Make sure you're comfy in the Jeep. We're gonna have to squeeze up, so be warm. And I'm
Mhm.
telling you, we're going off to Arkansas. In Arkansas, suddenly you won't be so darn cold. I'm gonna tell. Well, I don't know. Last time I looked, they had a little snow, but I've been chased by a person on a lawnmower in Arkansas, so hopefully they don't see me.
I
That's a
remember
truth.
that.
That is
And
a
it was
truth.
so, I remember that and it was so funny.
It was
I
All
would
I
have
funny.
could
paid
do,
good
I
money to
couldn't
see
even,
that.
I
I'm
couldn't
tempted
even
to
help.
ask if it was
All I
George
could do
Jones
was
again.
laugh.
No, I
No,
got chased.
seriously, this
I
guy
got
chased
chased
her on
on a
a
lawnmower.
lawnmower.
Yeah, because I
And
took a photo. I took a photo of
was
a heron, and they
so
thought
funny.
I was taking a photo of their pot house or something. But let's get this stuff in there. Listen, New York City though, we have to still be, stealth about this. Um, I want to ask
Okay.
you though, Matt, because I know you've hung out in these places, you've written about all of these amazing characters. Any music come to light that we should be listening to as we get in the Jeep and start hauling out? Any sounds that you personally like? Because I look at all these people hauling this booze right now, and it's stealth, but I mean people wouldn't know, but we all sitting here know.
I
Any
got a
music we should
song for
have
it.
for? I mean, I don't know how we're going to do it with a gramophone or something, but like, what music should we be listening to haul Shine.
Oh, it would absolutely be
Thunder Road.
jazz coming out of New York at that time in the 1920s. And, I won't give you a particular song, but Louis Armstrong and um, um, Coleman Hawkins and some of these legends will be playing and singing. Fletcher Henderson. So that's what we'll
So,
be listening to.
so at the
Ca-
same
is-
time as we're hauling Shine, the possibilities is we may have the world of cannabis in the Jeep because Louis Armstrong did travel and he loved his pot. And he loved his laxatives too, by the way, because he had the
So
munchies and he needed the laxatives later.
he
So,
needed them. Yes.
and, but weed, and I think some other, I'm not sure about the heroin stories, but weed,
Okay.
I don't know if that gave him bigger lungs. I don't know. Matt,
No.
I mean,
What?
come on. Well, he did. He was the most, he's like, what a wonderful world. He smoked a bit and said, what a wonderful world, sang, played it. But
Can I sum it up with a song called "Born to Be Wild"?
no, that's later, y'all. You're ahead of your
I don't
time,
care.
girl.
How about
Nancy's
when the
always ahead
saints
of her
come
time.
marching in?
Oh well, but
I don't know if we're saints
take
with all
another
this
toke.
booze in our cars, though.
One toke over the line,
I think
Matt.
that Louis Armstrong was probably born with the huge lungs, but his
Yeah.
raspy voice might be attributed to weed.
Okay, but
Oh,
he
you
did.
think?
He loved it.
Huh.
So we might have to take it to hot springs because if you're going to sit in a hot, wonderful bath, you may want to smoke a little while you're imbibing,
Oh, God.
because prohibition against weed as well as alcohol? Did they forget the weed part or just go on alcohol on prohibition?
I think it was more against men, to be
Alcohol.
honest.
Yeah, it was alcohol, but like weed. Hello, y'all. Let's go oh,
But I don't think
until
weed wasn't
the
a
Hearst
deal
family,
back then.
It
the
wasn't a
Hearst
thing.
dudes,
It was
the
all
Hearst,
alcohol, and men drank the alcohol, and women probably didn't, but they
the
snuck
weed
it.
and hemp has been in our country since George Washington. We've used hemp as rope for years.
Well,
We've
that
used hemp as
explains
clothes
it
for years.
further.
And then here comes, hello, the Hearst family who said no weed for y'all. That's it, because we want wheat versus weed. Yeah. So there's this, I don't know. I'm not the historian, so
Oh,
everybody check it out. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. But at this point, since Louis Armstrong is playing, let's all smoke a joint and get in the car because we're getting in a car full of booze and we may be pulled over at this point during Prohibition as we go from New York City all the way to Hot Springs, Arkansas. So if I were you, I would smoke
okay.
a little bit or enjoy the contact high because you may need it. Because it
I,
might
I
be the
just need
last
to
bit of
know,
joy.
Lisa, am I driving or should I be laying off
No,
the booze?
No, the
you
sock
you
monkeys
you
drive.
can drink, you can smoke, you can do everything. This is the beauty of Big Blend Radio. We have
You can
Priscilla
do
the
what
sock
you want.
monkey who does the driving, she fixes the
Hmm.
drinks, she does the hauling, and we really do take good care of her. She is family, but
She's a
um
very colorful
and
monkey.
and when people ask us for photographs, we go look at Priscilla. This is Priscilla. She is she is the mascot of us all. So she
Hmm.
takes care of everything. She is this magical entity that does everything and loves it and enjoys it. And so,
Hmm.
Matt, you get to sit. You're the happy hour king. You get to sit in the front seat and have whatever you want. Is that okay?
That's fantastic. And I'd like to point out one other thing. Bootlegger Day, January
Hmm.
17th, is also my birthday.
No
Oh,
way.
Happy
dude,
Isn't
birthday
how
that
and
much
have
you
a
want?
cool?
drink.
You give him 2 doobies, 3 doobies,
No, how
4?
cool is that?
I don't know if he wants a doobie, but but you could have
No,
as
but
many
that's
cocktails.
cool.
Do you want cake? Like, what's your cake? What cake do you want?
Chocolate peanut butter.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. You are
Nice.
family then. You're family.
Mm.
Your family,
That's
anybody
nice.
else
Now
want
Honey
part
would
of
have
that?
wanted a rum cake.
I was thinking of rum cake too. But anything with chocolate in it's good for me.
chocolate
Hey,
and peanut butter
my
together
granny
is
used
like
to make
everything.
rum dumplings. She
What?
Rum
used to pour
balls.
rum in the dough of the dumplings and then fry them. I loved my granny.
I think your granny was a little alcoholic. I'm just saying, all these stories about Nana are starting to sound a little
No,
weird.
but she really, the more I think
Yeah,
about it, I
she
was
really
like,
loved her rum.
she really, oh, if you had she goes, you have the sniffles. Sniff this. And she'd
No.
put a little shot glass of rum in front of your nose, and then she'd dare you to drink it.
So wait, Matt, is rum allowed around? Would you like some? What would you want to drink? Because we're going to go on a joyride all the way from New York to Arkansas. So what will make your journey happier?
Well, I'm going to say that, at the time, the Cuban rum coming in was pretty darn good, the 7-year rum. But I am mostly a bourbon whiskey drinker. So right now I've got a bourbon with a bourbon sangria going.
Ooh.
Sounds interesting.
So
Yeah.
I've gone with a little bourbon, some Cabernet, and
Really?
just a splash of cherry and cranberry on top. And it's
Wow. And
fantastic.
I think I'm weird because I'm balancing a Cabernet and a big oil can of Foster's. Everybody knows I love my Foster's.
Dude,
I'm
stop
sorry.
it.
Every happy hour I
Stop
have
it.
my big Foster's oil can of beer, and it's cheap, nasty, I know to everybody, but I love it. So, but I have
I
a
love a
Cabernet.
Foster's oil can, so
I do.
congratulations.
There's nothing nasty about it. It's just
I love
different.
my Foster's oil can, y'all.
Hey,
So
different
listen,
strokes for different
it's going to be our,
folks.
our way to get to we got to get to Tiffany. Tiffany's waiting if we don't get there on time.
Yeah,
She
Tiffany.
might
don't
drink all
have-
the whiskey if we don't get there.
No, well, we get to, let's
and
go,
eat
let's
all
go,
the
let's go.
snacks.
Everyone, here we go. We're off. We're there. We did some mudslides too. Like there's some sliding around.
She there?
Yeah, I don't know. We got to find Tiffany. We parked. I'm outside. Where am I? Where are we parked?
Hello.
We're somewhere. I don't know. It's dark. I don't know where we're parked. We're looking for Tiffany.
Maybe you're in front of the mob museum there, the gangster museum.
The gangster museum there in Hot Springs. I don't know. Tiffany, are you there? I don't know. She's got to give us the password. Oi!
Oi.
Oh,
There
oi is
it
the
is.
password. We know the word
Yay.
oi so well. Tiffany, where are we?
best
We're so
password.
lost. It's been a
Well,
long drive.
And I was worried about you. I thought maybe the G-men had gotten you. You were a little late coming in, so I gave up waiting for you at the Gangster Museum, and you're going to have to come down the street a little bit to the Crystal Ridge Moonshine Distillery in Hot Springs.
Okay. Oh, so we need to get some more so we can get to your place. Everybody.
I
Tiffany's
figured
bed
y'all
and
would need
breakfast.
to. I figured you'd need to refill your stock a little bit once you got here. That's a long drive.
Yeah, well, because Nancy's been in the car, Joe's in the car, Matt's sipping up for his birthday, and then we've got Katie. You never know what Katie's up to.
I'm up
you
to
don't know
something
because
for
she
sure.
races cars,
Tiffany, my drink is empty. What am I drinking now? What are you supplying?
Oh
Give
my
him a
God! Listen to
refill.
the birthday boy. Listen to
He
this.
needs a refill.
Can you
We've
help us,
got
Tiffany?
we've got all the flavored moonshine you would ever want. And when we get to happy hour, I'm going to make a prohibition punch.
Ooh.
And we're going to punch everybody in the face that created prohibition. I love that. I love that prohibition punch. Like, screw you all. But it was made out of goodness, I think. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, but how do you do that? Like, okay, when you go to church,
Nancy, I don't know. I don't know.
You do communion. You do communion, and they give you a sip of wine. Did they do that during Prohibition?
No, they always give you grape juice. They're lying. Come on.
Oh,
That's why, that's why
it's
we have
not
a
grape juice.
confession.
They give you wine. They
That's
give
why
you a
there's a
sip of
confession
wine.
chamber, so you can say, I gave everybody grape juice instead of wine. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not Catholic. I don't know. But let's get going, because if we don't get to this next destination in
Okay.
time, Tiffany is not going to get us our stash to get to. Hey, so Tiffany, where are we going? Tell us again. And we got the oi. We know it's you. So where are we going? And can we stay in the same car, or do we need a new car? What do we need to do?
Oh, no, we've got a new car, and I'm glad Matt has already introduced you all to Meyer Lansky, because Meyer knew a lot about hot springs also. And in fact, many of the New York gangsters made hot springs their second home during Prohibition. But we are going to get into Al Capone's 1928
Yeah.
armored
Awesome.
Cadillac.
Thank you.
Oh, well, she's been wanting to do this for a while, apparently.
Go
So
for
everybody,
it.
let Nancy have a rum and Coke so she can get
No,
into his
go
Cadillac.
ahead.
So it is a pimpmobile, right? It is. Like,
Mhm.
Yep.
come on, a Cadillac is a pimpmobile.
It
Every
is
time
the
you look at it,
first and it's the first
it's
and
the,
foremost pimp mobile ever.
I know it is. So we get to actually drive that to your bed and breakfast to have a happy hour. Is that what's happening,
Yes,
Tiffany?
it's it's probably pretty tight with all of us, but it's a short drive from Hot Springs to Tiffany's bed and breakfast, so
What?
you
12
won't be
minutes?
uncomfortable for very
I think
long.
it's 12 minutes or something. So everyone get in. You're all comfortable in the pitmobile? I think you all are. Hold your drinks. Don't let the cops, if the cops show up, you know what to do. Just swig it down, right? And throw the cups out. Okay? You all know what to do. All right. So Tiffany's Bed and Breakfast is in Bismarck, Arkansas. And this is like over 50 acres of nature. And it's the most
That's
beautiful bed and
awesome.
breakfast, log cabin style. Her and her husband, Bob, who we say oi to, make
Oi.
the best brownies. I'm not saying what's in the brownies, but they make the best brownies. They play the best music in their B&B, and they
Yeah, the
have
music is
hummingbirds
awesome.
and if you love nature, honestly, I'm not kidding around here. It's like
Mm.
we can't wait to see them again and just walk the property. They have an old mine on the property, and
Mhm.
it's like, shenanigans went down on that property back in the day, right? Come on, Tiffany. There had to be. Miners working.
We've
Someone was sipping the shine on the side. Come on,
we've found an empty bottle or two back in the woods. I won't lie.
I bet. Miners are
But
shiners.
Tiffany, like, Hot Springs really has shiner and mob history. Like, it was like, here's this pristine, come and clean yourself, be spa'd and, detoxed. And that is actually the opposite happened in history.
Yeah, you're right. And actually, throughout the 1930s, not even after Prohibition ended, Arkansas remained the biggest distiller of moonshine in the country. They said a lot of the farmers could make more money turning their grain into alcohol than they could putting it in a wagon and hauling it to town over the hills and
that's true.
everything. So
That's true.
And like I said, the gangsters found this out, and they all decided this was a great place to hang out during Prohibition. They
I want to give a shout out
in the baths.
Mm-hmm. I want to give a shout out to Rocktown Distillery in Little Rock that we visited and had a great interview with, and I'll put this in the episode notes. Not that we're sobering up or anything, but as we get into everything. But we went there on a tasting and met the owner, who went from like, hey, I did the whole, Silicon Valley kind of vibe, Fortune 500 company thing, and realized my passion is booze, so, and he created this distillery, and he was the first distillery to overthrow Prohibition. I mean, in nowadays times, he's the first distillery in Arkansas. And Nancy and I were sitting there going, what do you mean? Can't you just make whatever you want? No. He had to go to court. He had to do all those things. And then not only was it bourbon and everything what people thought, we were sitting there and they gave us tastings while we're interviewing him, and you could hear that I literally was going like, I can't talk anymore without what I'm drinking. But anyway, it was a great interview. It was fun. It was fun. Um, but at the same time, then they wanted to serve cocktails because a lot of people don't like to come in and taste straight liquor. And
Right.
the younger generation that is not into that, or the same thing, wine tasting, Matt's talking about having a sangria. It's the same thing. Nobody wants all the time. We just actually want things to be, moistened down. I use that word. And he wanted to give people cocktails, and then he had to go and fight for that. And it was this big political battle. And what they did, I mean, and they're in the capital city, Little Rock, Arkansas. I don't know, man. It just, for a small business to keep going, to make it
But
work for their customers, and to have to go on legislature to make that happen, I think is amazing when you think about the history of hot springs on the other side. Like, Tiffany, doesn't that kind of blow your mind? And then you, at the same time, have the only brewery within a national park using actual water from a national park. Isn't that wild for Arkansas history?
It is. And however, it's called Superior Bathhouse Brewery.
Yes,
they had to go through quite a bit of red tape as well because they were proposing to be the first brewery in a national park. And because all of the buildings are owned by the national park, they had to get approval from up at the top to make any changes to that building in order to create a brewery in there. So, not surprising, but yeah, it's kind of seems silly.
They're right there on
Given our
Bathhouse Road,
history.
aren't they? They're right on Bathhouse
Yes.
Road. Yeah, I
Correct. Yes.
passed by there. I didn't really get much chance to go in there.
We did.
It looked
during
like
COVID.
fun.
During COVID, that's how we met Tiffany and a lot of bed and breakfast owners, because we went on this still in INN biz. There was this, campaign of letting people know during COVID that innkeepers were open. And that's how we met Tiffany and our friends at Lion of the Rose Bed and Breakfast in Asheville, and so many innkeepers. I think we did so much innkeeper stories. It was insane, like, over that time.
we did 30 plus.
I think so, Tiffany.
Yeah, we
Remember
did.
that campaign? It was crazy.
Yeah.
And we visited each of you, did stories, did videos, showed people these places are open and understand how to keep you safe. And it's still, tourism is still trying. It's still not the same after COVID, right? It isn't. So I want to take this little moment of saying, please go to bed and breakfast and the individual hotels and motels, what you can, because it really affects whatever you do in a community, in tourism, really helps everyone come back. We see what's going on in LA, and as we're playing happy hour, it's even hard to do happy hour. We stopped our 18th anniversary show, parties and everything, because of what was going on in Los Angeles with the wildfires, which Nancy and I have been through multiple wildfires. We've been through hurricanes. We've been through tornadoes. We've done
Earthquakes.
just about everything you want to do because we travel so much, but also lived in places that went through there, and we've done it. It sucks, and it's really, really hard. And if I could ever give everybody a little libation to make them happy right now, I would do it. It's really hard what's going on in tourism. I'm going to say the bed and breakfast and the individual small businesses that we can all do right now to, when we're traveling, do that. Help those communities by going to the small and independent lodgings, because I can guarantee you, even in the Hurricane Helene situation, that the people that you think are getting the funding from the big campaigns, they're not.
They are not. No.
They are not. They are
No.
not. The bed and breakfasts are actually excluded 100%.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. So, anyway, let's keep on with happy hour. Just a note for all of us as we travel and have fun, which is part of what we're doing on this podcast, is to let's go have some fun and understand this history. So, Tiffany's Bed and Breakfast, we met you during COVID. And look how many times we've seen you, hung out with you, the bird watching experiences, the music experiences, the nature experiences, the animal
You guys are
experiences.
fun.
You guys, I mean, you're part of our life,
They're fun.
you know? So isn't that part of happy hour? So are you ready? Because everybody
Exactly.
is going to offload a bunch of booze. Is Bob ready for
We're
that?
ready.
You ready?
Bob's
Okay.
always ready for a party.
He's
Yeah.
got the brownies. He's a brownie maker. So I know we're a lot more than you've got. How many rooms are we all going to fit? Like how do we do that?
Some may
Nancy and I
have
will
to
bunk
share.
up.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we can share.
Okay. So are we going to have our happy hour at the fire ring? Or on the porch.
I don't know why not.
I like the fire
Yeah.
ring idea. That
Mhm.
sounds right for moonshiners. So
Then our smoke will be going up in the air, just kind of like the old moonshine stills did. That's
Mhm.
I
how
like
they
that.
caught them a lot of times,
how
was
they caught 'em.
cutting down the smoke.
Oh, I love
Exactly.
that. We're all here. We're all here. So what's next? Let's go all the way around. We brought some peach moonshine that we didn't make. Of course not. We don't know anything. Priscilla wants to know what we can do about snacks on that. What do you think, Tiffany, that we can do?
About snacks?
Yeah.
We've got all the snacks ready for you.
All right. So everybody, we're good on that.
We've got
Okay. Yeah.
What?
We got you. What do you got? What you got? Tell us.
We've got brownies, of course.
Mm, yummy.
We've got. I heard somebody.
By the way,
somebody asking for crackers and cheese.
You may be seeing weird things in the sky if you eat the brownies. I'm kidding.
Uh-oh.
I'm
Do
kidding.
you have any
Our brownies are
chocolate
not
peanut butter
spiked.
cake?
Oh, chocolate.
Peanut butter what?
Sure.
That's right. We've got to have birthday cake.
Apparently, Matt likes peanut butter. Is this a peanut butter thing with you, Matt?
Chocolate peanut butter.
Chocolate and peanut butter. That's a
Chocolate
thing.
peanut butter cake. That's what I'm
Chocolate
looking for.
Peanut butter cake.
We could
We
smash
make you
together
one,
a lot
Matt.
of Reese cups and make a cake.
Mhm.
No, I
Joe
can
has
make it.
great
I'm
recipes
gonna
for
go
that.
research that. I'm going to make one.
Oh, don't start, Nancy, because her and the Reese's cup thing.
I
Bad.
love peanut butter.
And then Joe came on a podcast, and then next thing you know, Nancy's like, we need more Reese's cups, and we ended up with these giant Reese's cups. Right?
Then you need
Remember
more red
that?
wine.
Well, we didn't have enough wine to keep up with the Reese's cups. That was my.
Mhm.
No,
That's
the
what I said.
Reese's
You need
cups
more
are
wine.
awesome.
Yep.
That's it. Wine
So
and
do you,
Reese's cups.
okay,
I could
wait.
live on
So,
that.
so Matt, do you like Reese's cups or not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So it is chocolate and peanut butter. Do you drink wine with them? Like or whiskey and
Sounds good.
whiskey and that is good. I'm just saying.
I
Tequila
don't
too.
normally mix. I don't normally mix my sweets with my liquor, but
Oh,
Oh, well, you're missing a whole life. I'm
yeah,
just
you
saying.
Chocolate
Sorry.
goes with
If it's not
anything.
your thing, I get it. But like I'm saying, like if you do dark chocolate and peanut butter and
Ooh,
bourbon on the
yeah.
rocks, or
hmm
tequila, if you get a reposado on the rocks,
Oh, dude, here she goes.
a good Malbec,
Mm.
Syrah. Just saying.
And,
Okay,
and with
They
the more
like the
milk chocolate,
counterpart.
you want the Merlot.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
peanut
the
butter and
sweet,
chocolate is the
no,
best
the
thing
sweet
on the
needs
planet.
the counterpart, and the salt needs the
Oh my God.
counterpart. So you got to mix it up.
Well, here and where we are in Peachtree City, they make this thing with peanuts and candy corn or corn candy, whatever you call it.
Yum.
And
Yeah.
when we came back, they did it for Halloween, and we had a little taste of it in September. Came back here, and they're like, they left me the thing of they left Nancy candy corn pure because she, she's like,
The
she wants her
purist.
rum and she wants her candy corn.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mix the peanuts in that. I don't want anything healthy. Don't ruin it. And I have the peanuts and the peanuts, so I say that correctly, and the candy corn. But I don't know what to do about pairing that. But it is a similar thing to the joy of chocolate and peanut butter. I don't think,
That's a
Matt,
good
there's
mix.
I don't know if there's a better pairing in life
Yeah,
other than like
great mix.
when we go on the savory, that's a whole thing. But Matt, is that like your favorite best pairing? Because I can't think of anything that would beat that. Like that is like perfection. Chocolate
No, I,
and
I
peanut
think
butter.
that's perfect. I'm very much for it. And I understand how you
Apparently.
have to pronounce peanuts very carefully because I've been called out on that before.
I have too, multiple times. We do a show called The Peanut Patch,
Yeah,
and
that was bad.
then we still do it. I mean, and every time
But
I have to go the peanut
you have
patch.
to
I say
think
the
before you speak.
peanut. Anyway, make sure you say it right. Okay, so happy hour. We're here. We're all at the fireplace. And I also know Tiffany has those big wrought iron things that you can stick in the fire with a
Okay.
big ass marshmallow if you want to make
Oh,
a s'mores.
hello.
And
We're
so,
making s'mores.
and if you want to be branded, you could with one of those things that I've seen. You could. So that's cool. So, Matt, are you happy in Arkansas right now? Are you ready to think about who you want to bring to happy hour if you could around this fireplace in the backwoods outside of Hot Springs? I mean, we're talking 20-minute drive, right, Tiffany? A 20-minute drive.
Absolutely.
So he might bring a
Okay.
mob member to this
Oh,
campfire. What do
cool.
you think? I think he's got a Reese's peanut butter thing stuck to his marshmallow, but we don't know. Um, Matt,
Good.
who are you bringing?
Um, I think I would bring Dorothy Parker.
Really?
Hmm.
Dorothy
Wow.
Parker is such a caustic, sarcastic wit that she would be fun around any campfire. And
Yeah.
so, if we could have thrown her in the back of the Jeep, but there wasn't room, but maybe she had to find her own way down.
Hmm.
She's a badass. Yeah, she is. She is. So, Joe, who are you bringing to happy hour that we didn't know that you invited? Because everything is secretive, you know.
That's true. Well, now you did say alive or dead. So
Uh-oh.
I'm bringing them back. I want my great grandpa, James Farmer Stanley, and his neighbor, Peg Hatcher. Peg Hatcher, his great grandson, Chris Prilliman, is the one who owns Twin Creek, distillery. And he
Hmm.
opened that legal distillery 80 years after his great grandfather's moonshine trial. Peg
Hmm.
Hatcher was indicted in a nationally recognized conspiracy trial. So
Wow.
we've been drinking history in a bottle, and I want to hear the real story from these two men, and I want to know if great grandpa helped and was a neighbor to his neighbors. If he was a helpful neighbor, how helpful was he?
Or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a story.
because there's I've heard some rumors, but I mean he didn't serve any time, and I don't think he was ever arrested. But I think he was involved in the neighborhood business. We'll put it that way.
Ooh, the neighborhood business. Ooh, I love that. You go, Joe. Now, Katie, Who are you bringing in? I
Well, I'll
mean,
bring
this is going to
somebody
be a
else
bonfire.
who did neighborhood business. How about Popcorn Setter? When it comes to moonshine, you got to think
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another one I'd like to hear the real story
I'd
from.
like to
The
hear his
horse's
real
mouth.
story too. Yep. I've always wondered about him dying like that, whether he really did it or didn't.
Yep.
Who is he? Who are you talking about?
He was
Popcorn.
convicted of moonshining. He did a couple of little ins and outs and nothing serious, and then they sentenced him to, I think, 18 months. But instead of doing it, he ended up committing suicide in I think it was a Ford. It was a car that he had been traded for some moonshine. He said he'd
So
rather
they
do it.
say.
So they say he said he'd rather take himself out and do it his own way rather than let them lock him up.
Wow.
He
Wow.
was quite a character.
Nancy, who do you want to bring in?
If you need help, hang up and
You
then
know,
dial your operator.
Call your
what am
operator.
If you'd like to make a
I
call,
don't know. Make
please
a
hang up
call.
and try again.
Somebody's off.
what's happening?
Oh, well, you can't let that call happen because we're on a run. You better hang up now.
That might be a
Nancy.
G-man after you.
That's right.
What
It
was
could be the
that?
revenuers hunting you.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was that?
Yeah. I don't know, but Nancy, who are you bringing?
Bob Barker.
Bob
Oh,
Barker?
yes.
What?
Bob Barker or Ma Barker?
Ma.
Ma
M.A.
Baker.
I
Ma
like Ma
Barker.
Barker.
Ma Barker.
I
Just
say
because
Ma Baker.
she was a badass and she did whatever she
What?
wanted
Did
when
you
she
say
wanted.
badass or badass? Wait a minute. Let's get
Hey,
this all cleared up. Ma
okay.
Barker,
Ma Barker.
badass, not a fat ass, right? You
No,
didn't say
bad.
She was a
Not
bad,
I
but
just,
she
I just
wasn't
want to make
really.
sure.
Hoover just made that up to make it look better about killing a
She did
61-year-old
whatever she
lady.
wanted to when she wanted to.
We're so going to get in trouble for anything that is
No.
politically correct. And honestly, if you're listening to this show, you shouldn't look for anything but
Well,
being politically correct.
That's
you
never
can tell me
politically
to
correct
be
about
correct.
moonshining and bootlegging.
Shove it. Because bootlegging and all of that was like, screw you on anything being politically correct. It's
Well,
enough.
Ma Barker
Sorry,
was
go
what
back to Ma Barker.
Southerners
Okay.
never did agree with taxes.
Ma Barker was what you would, in modern terms, call a felicitator. She helped A get to B, and B get to C, and C get to D, no matter what. She
So,
was intelligent
an
and,
organizer.
yes, and not always on the right side of the law.
I think you're describing Priscilla the sock monkey,
Sock monkey
Yeah, well,
doesn't.
getting us
Listen,
from A to B to C.
I
yeah,
understand, but
exactly.
I'm gonna stand up for Priscilla because she really does get us there. She's done
She
buses,
does.
trucks, boats. I mean, you just put her in a speedboat, a Jeep,
If it
she's
has a
driven us
steering wheel, she's got it.
and still pouring drinks and serving us food and being pretty where we don't want to be pretty. She
And
is amazing.
and she flashes cops on the road.
She does. She gets out of every ticket. Honestly, she does. I'm not kidding. Priscilla gets us out of tickets. Sorry. It's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, this whole Ma Barker, and I always thought it was Baker and not Barker, but I messed up.
No, it's Barker.
Is it?
Not
Is it
Baker.
Her house is now open as a museum in
Yeah.
Marion County,
Mm.
Where's Marion County?
right near Ocala. And it's the
We have to
boathouse
go
is
there.
still there.
Florida.
I still
yeah.
want to
Oh,
go
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you
I'm
want
trying
to
to
you
get-
definitely want to go take that tour.
I want to go
Oh.
there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Put it on the
So,
list.
okay. So I want to go over Tiffany, oi lady.
Boy,
Oi, who do you want to have at your fireside? I mean, you have a bunch of people all the time at your fireside at the B&B, but who do you want to bring in that we can trust?
well, we
Didn't-
borrowed his car, so why don't we just invite Al Capone to come with us?
Oh, yeah.
I I would say back in Prohibition days, he was probably an expert on hot springs, and I can't imagine the stories he could tell us.
I love this. I mean, with your bed and breakfast, everyone, Tiffany's bedandbreakfast.com, B&B, I'm going to get it wrong, but it's in the episode notes. Give them the right link, Tiffany, for everyone. 'Cause I just screwed it up.
Tiffany'sBedandBreakfast.com.
Oh, I had it. So
Okay.
Tiffany'sBedandBreakfast.com. It's in the episode notes.
Yep.
Do guests kind of like not know that history when they get there, or do they know most of the time? Like, what is that
I'd
like?
say it's about half and half. Some of them are very surprised, and others have done a little bit of research and know exactly what they want to get and find out and see
That's
while
cool.
they're here.
That's
Very
one
cool.
of our first things to go find, but our first time with you was during COVID, which things were closed, but we have a lot more to discover. I want to go to Matt. Matt,
You do.
what with rum runners, moonshiners, bootleggers, that ties into a lot of the writing. So when we put the show together, here we are at the happy hour campfire. I know you have the sangria. For you, when you think about all of this history, it ties into more than one book, right?
Oh, absolutely. The main thrust is I do have a series of books set in 1920s Brooklyn, New York, that involves the gangsters and the rum runners and the bootleggers and everything else. So that's my Brooklyn 8 Bellow series. So I absolutely.
And then what about some of the historical work that you've done as well? Like beyond that, like you've covered other countries and areas, the historical, I would say nonfiction, fiction, but yeah.
No,
So that,
I talked about the back room in Lower Manhattan, and I first came across that in newspapers.com, which has all the history for all time, the newspapers going back. And I saw something about that. And I said, oh, I know about that. And so when I was looking to go visit my daughter in Brooklyn, I came across the back room. And it exists exactly like it did in the 1920s, including the back room of the back room, where I spoke about Meyer Lansky and Charlie Lucky Luciano and Bugsy Siegel planning Murder Incorporated that led to the modern day mafia.
it's amazing. Like Nancy and I did an interview when we first started podcasting. So like this year, everyone, is our 18th year, and happy hour. Like honestly, we've done more happy hours than you know from the channel on this podcast channel. We did an interview with an author who did it was a black and white it's like a coffee table book on New York City bars. And a lot of them were like the Prohibition style stories. And we've done it for 18 years, and we were on one platform, and they changed servers one day, and we lost all of our stuff. But we did that interview, and that interview in that book, done through Turner Publishing. So anybody wants to find out about that book, look up New York bars or something like that, and it's really a good book. And I had no idea. I mean, we were fresh into the country. I mean, I know we were born here, but we lived in Africa most of the time, and we were so fresh and new, and it was all about prohibition. And Nancy's all like, prohibition, screw them. Let's hear about these bars that made it happen, right, Nancy? Remember that? I don't know if you remember that interview with that lady. And she had done all of these interviews with all of these bar owners throughout New York City. And I just did an interview with the the head of the state tourism of New York, and then travel writer Debbie Stone on New York. And oh, Joe, you just went, all of this. And I'm going, what the hell happened in New York? Went for it and said, screw you. Like basically on prohibition. And it's interesting, right?
I think so. I think that was aimed at Nancy, but it was a
I
fascinating
know. I don't know where
topic for sure.
Nancy disappeared.
Too much rum,
Nancy,
Nancy. Too much rum.
Nancy had too much rum. I don't know what's
She's
going on,
Oh,
freshening
but
her drink.
she's
but
getting a
anyway,
She's
rum and
out.
coke.
yeah, maybe.
She's out
But
chasing
but
fireflies in the woods.
yeah. But Nancy, I can hear her talking away, and I
Can
can't
you
hear
hear
her
me?
on the show. Oh, now you're there.
Now we can.
But no,
Oh,
okay.
can you
So
hear
now,
me?
yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Do you have enough rum?
No, I don't have any at all. But
Oh,
Uh-oh.
anyway,
you have no excuse. No,
the thing with prohibition that my research told me was that they introduced prohibition to reduce crime, but at the end
It
of the 2
didn't.
years or so of prohibition, they found out it increased crime.
Hmm.
And then they finally decided in their great wisdom, maybe we shouldn't do prohibition, which everybody went, yay.
Well,
Because it did actually.
Nancy, I would have to say that, prohibition came about because of the domestic abuse of husbands against their wives. But prohibition brought out the women who started attending these speakeasies and gaining their own voice. So that was pretty cool.
oh,
Well, history is what history is,
well, who created?
good and
Okay,
bad.
okay. So I want to understand this. All of you are writers. Tiffany, you are too. By the way, I know how you write things. You are. No, I consider you a writer. Listen, everyone. Tiffany is helping to create a library in her area,
I
right?
love it.
So I think I just want to give that a shout out.
Mm,
I think
Thank
that's
you.
huge. It's huge.
mm.
It's huge, and it's hard to do. It's hard to sustain. Yeah, it's. Whatever we can do to help, we will. Um,
Thank
the
you.
reality is, the prohibition was done in a. Um, it's so interesting when you think about this history of America. And I'm going to go to you, Matt, first on this. History of America. We come here because we want religious freedom, and we have Quakers and everybody coming in. And you know what? They helped when it came to Black lives, Underground Railroad. It was the Quakers that actually helped. And so, like, religious freedom and all of that, and then now we're against them, and it's like, it's wonky. So then prohibition came too, and it became a religious thing too, because Quakers don't drink and all of that. But at the same time, they were helping people be not slaves, be free.
Hmm.
So, Matt, as you write, because you write on historical fiction from Cuba, all of that, you've written so much. I just want to go to that with you. Do you sit back and you also were a history teacher and everything? Do you ever sit back and go like, what the, like human beings do you write to make humans get in touch with history? Do you ever look and go like, what the heck? What are we doing? Because I think so many people really, we, we go, we go against people. And prohibition, that's why I'm saying prohibition is a good thing, but it wasn't. but it was meant well, but it wasn't well, right? So that's my point is in history, we suck as humans, right? And in today too. And then there's good parts and bad parts. And so as a writer, is that part of your thing? And to maybe we can be a little nicer or kinder to understand some of the lessons from, hey, we tried that, that didn't work. In other words, don't think about prohibition. I want my wiki. Don't take that away, because as things could progress into worse things, I want some solace at some point, whatever. You know what I mean? It's humans are just trying to be whatever they can be on this place, and
You
it's a
know,
hard thing,
you know
you
what's
know.
really funny, Lisa? I write a lot of contemporary mysteries, but my historical series set in 1920s Brooklyn really made me realize that for the past 100 years, not really much has changed.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, in humans and beliefs and systems
And
and how we
beliefs
do.
in everything, I mean,
Wow.
1923 Brooklyn was a lot like 2023 Brooklyn in so many
Wow.
ways.
That's interesting.
So we have to look at that. So I want to go to our writers
Oh.
here. Tiffany, you're the host here at the campfire. How are you feeling about this? Do you have to deal with guests all the time that may not believe what you believe? Hospitality.
We don't talk politics, religion, or
Yeah.
all those things at breakfast.
No, but
You
this
believe
is
what you
important.
believe, I believe what I believe, and we'll all get along fine.
But this is important. This is an important thing for
And
people to
But it's
understand.
and
true.
basically, you know what? We're just all trying to be the best we can be and get along with people. So down at our core, we're really the same.
Isn't that
However,
important to
I
talk
do.
about? Yeah.
Yes, I do want to tell you one good thing that happened through Prohibition.
Mhm.
I just found this out today. The Ku Klux Klan was
Uh-oh.
very against bootlegging, obviously, and they tried to show up at a church meeting and warn all the attendees about bootlegging one night. And the next night, they got 5 carloads of Klan members together, and they were going to go to an area school to talk about the terrible things that bootlegging created. However, 3 moonshiners ambushed the Klan outside of the school. 1 was killed, 2 were wounded, and Klan membership quickly dwindled away in Hot Springs after that. So,
Wow.
Prohibition had some good points too.
It took out the Klan.
I would have never put the 2 together, but
Wow.
it chased the Klan out of Hot Springs.
It's interesting. It really
It
is
is.
interesting because it's really just, it dwindles down to all about people.
I know. That's why doing this show today, I mean, we're silly in doing our little run, but it was to kind of understand a little bit about like what that life was like running, right? You're picking this things from distilleries, and distilleries now, moonshine, you can buy moonshine in Tennessee and stuff, which it wasn't. So, it's so
And it
interesting.
was really just all about people trying to make money. Like I said, it was
Right.
it was easier to sell to your moonshine to your neighbors than it was to haul a load of grain into town. So they were just trying to survive.
Okay, but okay, it does have something to do with religion and not drinking alcohol. But then you have Jesus making water into wine, so it's confusing.
I made the
it is.
mistake
It's
of trying to argue
confusing.
that point with some person who was very rigid in her beliefs. And I said, well, if drinking a glass of wine is going to send me straight to hell, how come Jesus turned water into wine? Oh, no, he didn't
Exactly.
do that. He made it into grape juice. I learned to quit arguing with people on that
What?
point. Well, that's what she said. She was a very strict believer in
She's reading the revised version.
right.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I
the
believe what I
Bible
want to
says he
believe
turned.
because if we just
Oh,
taught true history and real facts, good
yeah,
example of that one, growing up
but
in New Orleans, Andrew
but
Jackson.
Go ahead, Katie.
we weren't there, so we don't know if he did or he
Yeah,
didn't.
it could have all been a fictional story. But like I was going to say,
Exactly.
growing up in New Orleans, history teaches you Andrew Jackson's a hero. He's wonderful. And then I moved up to
Mm,
North Georgia one time and I met some Cherokee descendants. And believe
mm,
me, they don't feel that
yeah.
way about him. When you
No,
think about what he
apparently
did
not.
with the Trail of Tears,
But
completely
Andrew Jackson,
illegally.
well, that's why I
If
always
we
talk
were
about
taught
on
true
shows.
history,
I talk about Andrew Jackson on so many shows.
Oh
Anytime I can
boy.
say, here was this complete
Mm-mm-mm.
idiot.
yeah.
I'm trying to
No,
watch my language. Nancy just
don't
did the
say that.
If
so
we
I
were
Don't
didn't
taught
say
go and
that.
say
true
what I want to
history,
say.
the facts, and
Andrew
just
Jackson,
because it embarrasses us,
he's
it
one
should
of the
still be
worst.
taught. I
But
mean, if it
you
happened,
wouldn't
it
have New
happened.
Orleans without him.
Uh
And
huh.
I, and he had dysentery while he was going through the
Well,
Battle of New
actually,
Orleans.
we would have because the battle was fought after the war. The treaty was just about finished and signed by most of the people when the battle happened. He just used it for political campaign. But still
Well, he had
today, you're taught
diarrhea.
that in history.
He had diarrhea at the
Hmm.
time, which I
That's
think
no
everyone should know.
excuse.
Well, no, because he was
No,
he
I'm
was one
sorry,
of the
it's
most
no
hated people
excuse.
in American history for good reasons. That man had diarrhea, and I think everyone should know he was pooping his pants during all of this.
Oh,
So I'm
stop
just
it.
saying, I want to keep. Matt, am I allowed to say that? Am I in trouble?
Oh, absolutely. And
Why not?
what
It's
you have to
true.
know is that history is the history of the winners. Whoever
Yeah.
Exactly.
wins is who writes the
Oh
history
God,
book.
that sucks right now.
Exactly.
Well,
Just
the thing
saying.
is, because we weren't there, we will never really know.
Okay, so let's close this up. Nancy, I know you have a rum runner or shiner history because everyone, you all have to be part of what we're doing with our Jefferson Highway project. We're doing the travel magazine or guide, whatever you want to call it. The Jefferson Highway was started in 1915. And this is amazing. It was started by the editor of Better Homes and Gardens magazine. And he got the communities going from no, above that, up all into, uh, God, when you think about Canada, right? Right now, it's a little political, but Manitoba,
Again.
we're going to Winnipeg. It starts from Winnipeg
Mm,
and it goes all the way down to Katie's homeland of New Orleans. And
it's
it
almost a
was about
straight line.
helping. He understood from his publishing industry, which Nancy and I really do know from doing so much work, so much about small business, independent
Mm,
creatives, everything. You guys know that. And he said, we need to create this corridor to help these small communities not making it with farming. They need a subsidy, which would be tourism. And he created that. And he created this highway and got all these communities together. Communities did fight over it. There are different routes and whatever. But we're going to be the first people to create the first digital magazine guide to do it. And it's exciting. We're honored. Honored.
it,
Congratulations. That's very cool.
It is.
it,
It's a
It's
it's a
wonderful
we've been doing
huge,
collaboration.
the podcast of it for years
it's a huge
just to
project.
do it,
It's
just to do
huge.
it. Because not a financial gain, trust me, just to do it.
No, but
Because
Matt,
this is
I'm going to be calling on you because I need help. This is way bigger
That
than
Nancy went down the rabbit hole of
I
hell.
can't get out.
And I know Katie and I know Joe, you've got stories. Everyone's got stories. And Tiffany, you're
But,
right off the highway.
Real close.
Doing this, we're working on this. And so as we play around with this conversation today, I think about this and I'm like, moonshiners went all through this. And Nancy, you have a story we have to close up this show. We have to move it on. So Nancy, and I know that Joe's got one too. And so go Nancy. Because Nancy's story has to do with the highway because that's what we're doing. And it'll be out soon.
The term moonshiners comes from those who make booze at the light of the moon. Okay? And the shining part comes once you drink the booze and you're like, wee, that's cool. So anyway, on the Jefferson Highway, there were several moonshiner stops. The first one being in New Orleans, which was the hub of moonshining for a long time. And then when you got up,
Katie, your town.
no,
Sorry.
as you got to the bigger cities, not the smaller ones, the bigger cities, you would find moonshine along that whole route. Okay. Because the bigger cities have more people and they want booze, and that was that. The smaller cities on the outskirts are the ones who made the booze. And there was transport back and forth, back and forth, back and forth of known routes, getting the booze from A to B. And so the bigger cities got the booze made by the smaller cities on the outskirts who barely were legally even, they could barely survive because they didn't have all the modern, whatever you want to call it, amenities that the bigger cities had.
Mm-hmm.
So booze came at a high price and people paid for it and they want it and they still want it and it ain't going to go away.
So the Jefferson Highway, was that part of a highway for people to go up and down?
I could almost call it a booze highway, but it wasn't the only one and not the biggest one. There were other routes throughout the country that were known.
Like Lincoln Highway, Route 66, that kind of thing. Yeah. But Jefferson Highway is actually older than all of those highways. Like it's pretty interesting.
I know, but it was a cattle. It was historically a cattle route, driving cattle from Canada to the States and States to Canada.
This is, like I said at the beginning of the show, trafficking is the word now, which is sadly human, animal, drugs, everything, ammunition is what we have. We've done numerous shows on the wildlife trafficking, which shows up that basically if someone does a wildlife trafficking thing, they're still doing human and animal. We've done human trafficking shows in years by, but the fact that we got shut down on Wiggy, as we call it, wine and just Wiggy. It's like when you take your first sip. That was actually the password to the happy hour show. We got shut down. So the government says, hey, y'all, you can't have Wiggy anymore. And we say, screw you, we will. And so that kind of shows you this. So it's kind of an interesting time to revisit this, and hopefully we don't get stupid, as time goes by. Joe, anything you want to add in before we close off this show? Because I know your family really did have some interest there. We talked a little bit about it. Anything you want to add in?
Yeah, just a couple of historical facts that I think are really interesting. During Prohibition, there was 1 year, I'm sure each year, but one particular year, the statistics are there in Franklin County, that more sugar was shipped by rail, so it was easily tracked. But more sugar was shipped to Boone's Mill and Franklin County than to New York City.
That's
And
funny.
historians estimate that in the 1920s, during Prohibition, 99 out of every 100 Franklin County residents were in some way involved in the illegal liquor trade.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Wow. So, Matt, does that
Oh,
happen
So
to you when you're
you
doing
talk about
research?
you were talking about financial security earlier.
Yeah.
This is how they made a living. It was the only way they could make a living. And then
That's
it was
why
the birth of NASCAR, you know,
it
30
was.
miles down the road from Rocky Mount is Martinsville, my hometown. And that's where NASCAR got its start.
well,
And it was born
that
out of illegal corn liquor.
I
exactly
know.
because
But you
the
know, it's
mafia came in and they're like, "We'll transport it for you. Watch this."
no, but it's so badass, right?
And the
It's so
mafia
like
is the
we're
start of
doing this,
NASCAR.
and you've got to think these people had cojones to do it
Yep.
too. I mean, so Matt, as you write, when you write these novels,
Mhm.
and I'll go to Katie too, because Katie writes travel guides, but she writes novels and also historical reality. Um, Matt, for you, I mean, I look at Katie and Joe travel, and they do travel writing as Nancy and I do. Tiffany's sitting in a hotbed of history of like craziness, like everything. I mean, Tiffany, come on. As a B&B, she's like, come have a
Hotbed of
romantic
craziness.
stay,
That's a
but like we
good
had,
term.
come stay, have a romantic stay, but like y'all, like you're in the hotbed of the mafia, um, back in the day. But Matt, like when you think about this, like it's got to inspire you, like to think about what people think about to do, you know, and want to go there. Do you ever go to the places of these people?
Oh, absolutely. In my book that's coming out in April, I went to the Everglades. And
You,
to tell you the
oh,
truth, that
yes.
the name is of the town is I'm missing right now, but in the 1980s, 85% of the adult
Hollywood?
males got arrested and went to jail for illegal drug transportation.
Wow. Dang.
Okay, so the Everglades. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? We gotta have to do a new show with you on
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
yes.
That's what started our
Uh-huh.
podcast. I mean, not our podcast, but our tour was going to the Everglades while we
That's
were
my
doing
most
a plant
favorite.
expo. Hmm.
Seriously, that's my most favorite place. I love the
Don't,
Everglades.
you can't say that because everybody asks us, "What's
Why?
your favorite part?" And then you go, "You can't name that."
I
It's like
know, but
saying your favorite
you know what
kid.
I want to do?
But
I
it
would like
was.
to get in the water with gators. I
Hmm.
don't know why. I
No, no,
just have this
no.
feeling
But
like you could, if you acted just like them, you could float and you could
you
just go
can.
there.
You can. Well, come on, Katie. That's the first time we talked to you was about floating. And Joe, same thing. Floating
Right.
with gators, right? We,
No,
Well, I don't want to swim with
I'm
them.
not getting in the
Because,
water with
but
one.
The
but
Everglades
you
was
did,
where
Joe.
I got
You,
a
because,
oh,
picture of a
okay, we
crocodile.
relate to mammals, okay? We
okay, Joe,
relate to
excuse
mammals,
me. Joe,
but
excuse me.
I
The
want to
first time,
relate
wait,
to
wait.
birds and reptiles.
Excuse me. The first time Joe came on a show was about her being in North Florida and being paddleboarding, and I saw her photo. There she is paddleboarding, and I'm going, "You're with gators." Oh no, no, I'm fine. I like gators. What the hell? What
No,
do you
not in
think?
that lake. That lake didn't have any gators in it.
Katie, there are
I've
gators.
kayaked with the gators, but I'm not going to paddleboard with them. But I was
Uh,
kayaking. Actually, this was on the Florida-Georgia border, or the
To
state
swim
park, I
with
think.
them.
And I'm kayaking all by myself, and this fairly big gator goes under the kayak, and I'm thinking, "Oh, please come up on the other side," and he did.
Yeah.
Stephen
But
Forrest State Park.
just tell Joe
Mm.
she
But
was not alone. She may have
he,
thought she was, but there's no way in hell. No, Joe, you had gators where you were paddleboarding and you felt safe and fine. That's great. But no, Tiffany has gators where she is, but not really as close, just a little south of her. I don't remember
Yeah,
any.
in the rivers, but Hot Springs does have the alligator farm as well,
Yeah, because
where
everybody
they
needs a
grow
farm.
alligators and you
Yeah.
can feed them and talk to them, and
Mm.
probably as close as you need to get to an alligator, Nancy.
And then,
no, but
what's going to happen is
I
Matt will
feel
put him in a
like,
book and kill him off.
look, we took wolves and made them into dogs. Okay, as the human species, somehow we did that. Yeah. So I'm looking at, not that I don't want to domesticate any other animals at all, but I would like to be able to communicate with fish and
Yeah.
insects and
Give her some more
other,
rum.
and
Yeah. Give
no,
her some more rum.
and
Give her some more
reptiles.
rum.
Because I don't always believe what I read in biological stuff, the scientific stuff. I don't think animals are
Well, no,
given
Nancy.
the
Nancy does have
credit.
some. I'm gonna. We have to close up the show, but I'm gonna
Okay,
give some
sorry.
Nancy some validation. She worked with Joy Adamson in Kenya in the bush and tracked wildlife and did everything. And Joy Adamson showed that animals. So the scientific community hated Joy Adamson. Her husband George was awesome in saving wildlife, and so was Joy. Joy Adamson is the what many of you may know from Elsa the Lion or Born Free. Google that. Nancy, that's how we ended up in Kenya when I was a very, very little child, young child, and lived in different tribes at that time. So that I wasn't on the premise because where Nancy was working with Joy, I'd get shot because if an animal hit me, like, the animal was more important. That is the truth. So, the animals, Nancy learned about the animal behavior, and that's where Joy was focused, not, she was proving animals felt something. And she could
Yes.
walk, Nancy, right? Through a
Hmm.
pride of lions and show her teeth like a
Oh,
baboon and get through
geez,
it.
it was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen was a baboon jumping in front of us and showing its teeth, and she showed her teeth, and the baboon left.
That's insane.
That
And if
to me,
anybody knows wildlife knows that baboons will kill you. Like
yeah.
they're gonna kick your ass. And so Joy Adamson showed this other side of
Mm.
wildlife that people did not agree with, scientists did not agree with, even Nancy didn't. Um, but that's what she did, and that's why we were there.
I
And
have
but
questions, you know.
yeah, yeah. So, but anyway, we're gonna close off happy hour. Oh, thank you
Was
for
showing your
joining us.
teeth.
Oh, it's time
Yeah,
to go
Joe.
get another drink.
No
Oh,
shit.
Refresh my
okay.
rum
I'll
and
get a drink.
coke.
But it is. It's like it's something
Hey,
to
listen,
think about.
listen. We're at Tiffany's Bed and Breakfast,
Mm.
so we can stumble up and get
So
our
we can have
drink.
a nightcap and go to bed.
Yes, we're cozy
And
and
I just
cool. There's no more driving anymore. We're not driving anymore.
I just want you all to know that I think maybe a few of you have had a little too much tonight. So when you get up in the morning, we will have breakfast at Tiffany's ready for you to
Oh,
work some
and
of that off.
will that have like a
Perfect.
good breakfast that will help a hangover?
Absolutely.
Sounds
Just
like what
saying.
we're going to need.
I'm thinking we may need it. This is very good. Tiffany, God, I can't wait for Nancy and I to see you both again and Mr.
It'd be
Buddy
so
and
cool.
Us
Kittens and
too.
everyone. We miss you
Oh, yeah.
guys so much. Katie, Joe, we may see you soon. You never know. And hey, Matt, you never know. We may get to Maine. You never know.
Well, there you go.
Thank you all.
Everybody loves breakfast at Tiffany's.
But
That's
that is the
right.
best place to have it. I'm just going to say it. Because we've had it. I can say it. Go have breakfast at Tiffany's. It's badass. And you want the brownies. I'm just saying, you want the brownies, not just the breakfast. You want the brownies. And the rooms are cozy and views, and you're in nature, and you will sleep. If you
Yeah.
actually have
It's
a sleeping
beautiful.
problem, like me, I don't sleep because I'm always in a different time zone, so my body doesn't know what the hell we're in. You go to Tiffany's. It is so quiet and calm
It's
and
beautiful.
easy. You will fall to sleep like a baby. And
Hmm.
that, to me, is the best thing I can say about a place to be in, is when you feel calm, cozy, safe,
Hmm.
cozy, and you can sleep. And you know you have brownies and a badass breakfast the next day and music. And if you go to Tiffany's, you hang out with Bob if you like music because he will play all the
Yeah.
music you want. So
Hmm.
anyway, everyone, thank you so much for being here for happy hour. We've way done. We're past happy hour. It's everybody else's fault but mine. But thank you so much.
It was
Take
fun. We
care.
enjoyed it
Everyone's
all.
links are in the episode notes. We've had Tiffany's bed and breakfast. We've got Matt Cost. We've got, oh my gosh, Joe, Have Glass Will Travel. Talk about a rum runner or a true renegade. Like, come on now. She's there. We got Nancy and Lisa, of course we're here. And Tiffany's. So thank you all so much. Take care.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Happy Hour podcast. New episodes air every second Monday and third Friday. Visit us at bigblendradio.com.